Hey, glad you can make it. Welcome to Fantasy Dad Pods, where dad bods are glorified and dad jokes are encouraged. I'm JT, accompanied by Sean. Sean, how we doing?
We're doing good this week. Had a last minute trip out of town canceled due to other parties' illness. Again, I feel like that's kind of a common thread. It's kids in the winter, so that's kind of thing. So we had a last minute shuffle. Had a little kid play date at another little place with some other friends, and it turned out to be pretty chill weekend here. Last minute, fix it up. So yeah, nothing crazy. Nothing crazy at this household. What about you, JT?
It was birthday weekend. My oldest
That's
turned
right.
9, so it was pretty fun. Um, yeah, youngest, he's caught something at school, so he was kind of like crummy all weekend, but oldest had the birthday festivities. We were gifted some tickets for that dinosaur thing at
Yes.
the fairgrounds.
Next weekend, right? Is it?
It was just happened. It
Oh, it
was,
just happened. Okay.
yeah. um, so just put this way, glad it was free. I definitely think it's for 5 and under demographic,
Yeah.
and it was very basic,
We went
but
last year. Kind of felt even we had a 5 and under, and it still was like
yeah,
we paid too much for this. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
So we made the most of it because we went in the
it's
morning
free.
and
It's free.
beat
Yeah,
beat the crowd and
yeah.
yeah. So it was good. Although I'd say there was the little putt putt inflatable, like
Okay.
so all the surfaces are like inflatable surface,
Oh,
like
okay.
so like it looked like a giant like Wheel of Fortune wheel. You just go around 9 different holes and weird shit. Your boy had 3 hole-in-ones, and I'm like, I know it's like for kids and stuff, but it's like it's on a weird like
No, it's
imagine
for
playing
keeps.
putt
It's
putt
for
on
keeps.
like a air mattress
Yeah,
that has weird
yeah.
like L shapes and weird. I'm just like I don't know. I
You
missed
going
my
pro? Is that
calling.
what's happening? You
I
going
missed my
pro?
calling.
I gotta say, I guess I'll tell you. Just, I guess Garrett, don't listen to this podcast. Turn it off for a little bit. So spoiler, I'll tell you, we bought a expansion. Obviously, that's why I asked for a Catan. Turns out, KP noticed the day before, you need an expansion to play this expansion. So like,
Dang.
I would have gifted it to you. You've been like, and your parents have to pay for $60 other to play this game. So we're gonna lock you into that. So we ordered something, but it's on its way from Amazon.
Oh, no
Good
worries.
last minute catch. We're like, this wouldn't have been playable if we had this to you apparently. Because it's a little deceiving, Catan. I'm gonna call you out here. It says 5-6 player expansion for traders and barbarians. Can't remember which one. But
Okay.
you need the Traders and Barbarian expansion to play the 5-6 expansion. I'm like, well, like, you're confusing it a little bit. It should be the 5-6 players with the Knights and Barbarians, not the 5-6. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, combine them or just simplify your wording on the box. So that's where we got caught. So gift on the way, delayed. Let's put it that way. Whenever Amazon shows up. So yeah, yeah. We need to save you a mandatory $55 to buy the
Right.
expansion or to play it. So
Well, we'll probably end up there anyway. So
probably, but we don't want to lock you in right now. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna have to get it now. At least you
we
gotta
got
wait for like a Christmas or something like that to get expansions. Now we're like, look, buddy, you can sit and look at this box for 10 months until you get it
right.
for Christmas, or yeah. So we'll let you guys decide when to get the expansions, but we worked something else out. So
Yeah, bold strategy. We got your gift, but the minimum players is 5. Like you have to play
yeah,
with a
it was
ton of
like
people. Like
you don't.
dang.
Yeah, you had the expansion, but you can't actually play it unless you play with 5. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you better. Yeah, so found that out.
Um
So that's on its way. So yeah,
yeah.
there we go. Yeah,
His like one of his best friends, they just entered another echelon of friendship because they found out they both play Katana and they've never talked
yeah,
about it.
yeah.
So we did the dinosaur thing, and then we had our basketball game. Second game, I was a proud coach in the second half. So the first half, again, we show up 15 to 20 minutes early. The other game's running late. The other game lets us on the court 4 till. The game starts sharp on the dot at the top of the hour because I checked with the refs. So I was like, do I have any? Are we going a couple minutes over so we can warm up? No, we're going right at 2. I was like, and I look at my watch and I go, so in 90 seconds, because it like took a little bit to like, and she's like, yep. And I was just like, all right, guys, put the balls away. Like, let's just, and so at that time, I only had 9 of our 11 players, and I had already pre-printed my lineup I wanted. Of course, 2 are missing out of my starting 5. So I had to like ad lib and write it down. Anyway, it worked all out. Didn't get a whole speech in. I said, hey, let's play hard. Let's have fun. Let's hustle. Boom. So we're kind of ad libbing. The 10th player shows up a minute into the game. The 11th player shows up before his rotation. So he's like 5 minutes late or something. It all worked out. So the second half, we finally kind of like breathed. And so they shoot around and I call him over the bench and I go, hey, this is what I'm seeing. That team is lazy. And I'm like, I'm being verbose, but I'm just like, every time they shoot the ball, they just hang out. And I thought they were playing full court defense and I was calling them out on it, and 1 or 2 might, but they're just slow getting back. The times that they did score, they were celebrating and cheering and looking at their bench and doing the whole cheering thing. And I said, that's cool and all, but punish them for it. Like we're at an age group where I can say this confidently. Yeah. So I said, here's the goal. I said, you guys are rebounding excellent. I said, you're playing well, but I said, the game's too close. You're evenly matched. You're better than this team. So here comes the strategy. You get the rebound. If you don't get the rebound, run the court. And whoever gets the rebound, look up, pass it over everybody. And all the kids, the slang term is head top them, like moss them, if you will, Randy Moss them. So yeah, so I was like, head top them with the pass. Boom. It's going to be layups. Okay. So here's my challenge. Last game, I challenged them more rebounds than the other team. Second half, I said rebounds plus steals. And so for the second half, we out rebound plus stealed them 34-9. And ultimately, the game was well in hand. We scored a ton, but I didn't keep track of that because we don't keep track of the score in this league. But overall, it was. I had goosebumps. I was proud coach. We were playing excellent. Yeah, we were playing excellent defense. Yeah, it was a great finish to the game. So they'll get their kudos at practice, and they're gonna get some. They always want a scrimmage, so they're gonna get a scrimmage at practice because they earned it. They played a really good game.
There we go. That's nice, man. Proud coach moment. I like it. Speaking of proud coach moments, transition here. We're third base. I guess I'll shoot you this, JT. Does it bug you a little bit that we go right to left, but then skip shortstop when we do the position numbers? It always bugs me just a little bit. Makes my eye twitch.
Right, yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's weird. Whoever came up with going around the diamond would have done it that way.
Number 1 with a bullet. I don't think we have to talk about this too much. Jose Ramirez. We in agreement there? Thumbs up? I mean,
yeah, J-Ram, 40-40, 200 runs, plus RBI.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt, debate who number 1 is at this position. It gets more fun after that, but we could skip also over, I guess we could slot in, what do you say, Vlad, if he's eligible in your league, number 2?
Yeah, it's kind of weird on Fantasy Pros. The rank's a little bit off.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if a couple didn't have them in his rank.
Yeah,
so
not third base in all formats. So check your positions if eligible. But Vlad, number 2, if possible. But we're going to probably skip him for now. So just get that out of the way. After that, there's a number of names I really actually like here. I feel like Devers, Jazz, Austin Riley, Manny Machado, for different reasons, they could all kind of fluctuate. I don't know if Manny could go to number 3 or let's call it number 2 here, but Devers is nice. Jazz Chisholm, I think, is still a little like I don't like it's like I don't want to say member berries from like South Park or whatever, but it's just like he could be this, and I'm like, yeah, 24-40, nice, but And playing in New York will help undoubtedly. Like, but I still think we're just discounting Austin Riley, like basically hitting like 40 bombs a season for 2 years in a row, and then like in 2020 hitting 33 with a 300 average. I just hitting 40 bombs with like a 280 average is like it's just really nice. You know what I mean? Like it's just really any place for the Braves. So I
Right.
just think we're just discounting Austin Riley. I guess it's more the classic we talk about every week. It's upside versus floor. I think Jazz Chisholm's ceiling is just higher than Riley's, but we're talking a ceiling of 40 home runs and a 270 average. It's not like it's a slouch over here. So I feel like Austin Riley had a bad year, undoubtedly, for Austin Riley. 20 home runs, 250. But like if you look at his numbers, JT, since 2021, playing every day, that is clearly the outlier. Like that is just like cut his home runs in half style. So I'm just like, that's he has had 3 home runs. His production's 3 years where his production's basically the same. I mean, walks are within 7 of each other. Like averages
Right.
within BABIP range. RBIs are within 10. Home runs are within 5. Like I'm just like these are like it's a machine. So that's Austin Riley is what I'm like. You're telling me for the fourth shortstop, I can go what 95 runs, 37 home runs, 97 RBIs, and a call it 385. Like that's just sign me up all day, all day. Well, who do you have? Let's just put it this way: do you have Jazz or Austin Riley higher or lower? This will show what style of fantasy owner JT is.
Um, my blind spot's always stolen bases.
Yeah,
I have a soft spot for Austin Riley,
yeah.
but I understand what Jazz brings to the table, but I just don't foresee him. Is he going to really bat in that high in the lineup to be more of the counting stats?
It's also his first year he hasn't missed like 30 plus games.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I'm just like we're talking about Austin Riley's a machine other than one blip. It's the opposite with Jazz Chisholm. This was like he played 150 games.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, his previous high is 120. So we're talking like how many games is this guy going to actually play this year? I hate to like bank on injury, but like we have 4 years of him being hurt basically. So at a certain point, you got to more than 1 year. Got to prove to me you can be healthy to put up these numbers. Yeah, healthy. Jazz Chisholm might be. You're saying like JT with stolen bases, but like normal year for Jazz Chisholm's, we're talking like 18, 50, and 18 home runs, 50 RBIs, and 20 stolen bases. That's not the third shortstop or third second baseman. Like that, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
I just need you to be healthy a little bit, and so I'm banking on health plus track record. Jazz Chisholm undoubtedly has the upside. I mean, he did 40. He did 24-40. Like, that's not a debate. But are you banking on it happening again? Like you said, JT, was that the outlier year? Is he really going to bat in that lineup where he's projected right now? It's a lot of questions, honestly. It's a lot of questions for where's he projected right now to go overall? I don't know. It's a little rich. So I guess we both have Austin right. I guess also it kind of comes down to too, JT, is if like we talked about second base a couple weeks ago. Did you snag a second baseman who all they do is steal bases? Because if that's the case, you really don't need a Jazz Chisholm. You got a guy who's going to steal a bunch of bags. You can get an Austin Riley to balance out those stolen bases.
Yeah, and I don't even know if Jazz is going to be completely available for third base in too many leagues.
That's true.
Let me
true.
just double check real quick because center field 97, third base 45. Okay, for sure.
I was gonna say, and aren't they gonna play him a lot there?
Yeah, I was like, it might take a minute to.
Yeah,
to
that's true.
qualify
But I thought they were gonna pretty confident have him play third. He's athletic enough to play third. I'm not worried about like him getting eligibility and keeping it if he doesn't have it because he's athletic definitely to play third base if needed. I mean, they have him right now listed at second base in roster resource. Who knows? Neither position's really great. Where do you want to play your guy, Oswaldo Cabrera? Shortstop, third or second? I don't care. Yeah. So, I mean, we kind of talked about it too. We're not, at least I'm not super. I think you are a little more than me, but Paul Goldschmidt, Cody Bellinger, Carlos Stanton. after Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge, undeniable. But those three guys, they're not like their names meant something in the past, but not as
Hmm.
much, I think, currently. And it's just like, what production are you going to get from them? They're all older, except for Cody. They're all hurt. John Stan's hurt all the time. I just don't know what, like, other than Judge hitting him in. After that, are we getting the regression? Paul Goldschmidt, like everyone's like, oh, Yankees lineup. Look at all these MVPs. I'm like, it's not like the Dodgers MVPs. You know what I mean? We're not talking Mookie Betts. We're talking Cody Bellinger, Stanton. That Stanton ain't coming out around for a while. Like that. He hasn't been around for a while anymore. That was when it
Right.
was Mike Stanton. Was he Mike Stanton when he won his MVP? I honestly don't remember.
Ooh, that's a good
I
question.
honestly don't remember. But yeah, this isn't to
I
say
did.
we don't like Jazz Chisholm, but I'm just saying at that spot at like 25, I don't know if I could pull Jazz Chisholm. We've talked about it before. I think you're getting the top 20s, first or second round. I'm not sure I want to be rolling a dice on a huge gamble that early. I want to be able to know I'm getting something kind of solid. Now, there's a dip. If someone breaks a leg or Acuna tears an ACL, it's one thing. But Jazz Chisholm does miss games every single season, and Austin Riley plays games. It's just that, like, a blip of a season. I'm willing to look past it. At 27, he had a blip of a season. 26, I probably rank him over him. I think we're maybe in agreement there, JT, saying that?
Between Riley and
Riley
Chisholm.
and Jazz.
Yeah, if you're thinking just pure raw counting stats, I feel like Chisholm with the stolen base is probably just going to be the extra tipping point. I mean, I, the way the lineup's constructed, I feel like he is going to bat at the top of the lineup,
Yeah, yeah.
and I wasn't really picturing that because I know Bellinger has pulled off back-to-back years of like 15% K rate with a 7 or 8% walk rate, and
Yeah.
Jazz Chisholm walks the same amount, but it's just he's got a little bit more speed. Nothing too crazy actually. Bellinger still can fly, but those are the two big lefties. Everybody else, in that lineup is a righty,
Yeah.
and so maybe you'll see both at the top. I thought Bellinger might bump Jazz down further, but because Riley's going to be the heart of the lineup and just go if not better lineup fully healthy once Acuna comes back and RBI
I'll say
Central.
it. I think the Braves lineup is better, straight up. Not even. I don't even know if that was
Yeah.
particularly close.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, full depth
Yeah. Full
wise.
go. Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So I'm okay with either. It actually might just come down to which league you're drafting
Yeah.
in. If
Oh, for sure. I think it's an idea of splitting hairs, and like you said, if you get a second baseman who steals a bunch of bases, or somebody else who just mashes at second base, things like that, you might sway which one you go with. I don't know if you're picking a second baseman in the first round, but you know what I mean. Like if you're got an eye on the second baseman or something like that,
Mhm.
and you don't need the stolen bases, you could probably wait and get the Austin Riley. Um, I guess it's more of like are you willing to risk it more? Jazz Chisholm's more of a risk, but he has higher upside versus Austin Riley. I think it's really safe floor with like a 38, 35 home run guy. And I might take the floor most of the time, with a bullet. I might just take Austin Riley just because that high second round, 25th pick. I just want I'll probably like lay it up, putting terms, just I'll play on the fairway, right now. I'll take my gambles elsewhere because trust me and JT done our drafts. I take some gambles. Give me a couple rounds in, I'll fire some shots off. But uh, I first couple rounds, I gotta brace for my gambles later on. So that's the way I tend to do. But if you want to take your shot early, there's nothing wrong with Jazz Tism talents there. Just my questions on the field, and then I guess after that, I don't want to say a tier, but like Manny Machado right after those two, pretty
I
comfortably.
keep Machado in that same tier. I think
No,
he's
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'd say not even a separate tier. Like he's
for
in the
sure.
same tier, but he's
Yeah.
the third of the three, or
Yeah.
even after Devers. Like I would group the four in there. If you told me you drafted Manny Machado over Devers, I'm not. I probably don't do that, but I'm not like, oh my gosh, what are we doing in this fantasy draft? Because Manny Machado, I think, is kind of slept on. I've had a blind spot for Manny Machado for a couple years, but the man's basically hit 30 home runs the last 4 years with 100 RBIs
Mhm.
and a 280 batting average. Like that is not a slouch. We're talking like a tier below. That guy definitely plays in this like second tier ball game. I think. Do you agree with that?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
he's fully in there.
Yeah, honestly, him and Devers are almost identical. It's
Yeah,
just it's
yeah,
it's a
That's
super safe floor. It's a nice ceiling. It's consistency, and I mean, shoot, Machado's 32. How old's Devers?
28.
28.
Actually,
Um,
third base is kind of young.
yeah,
We talked about I think we ran into a lot of positions that are really old, but we ran into a lot of like under 30 guys that play third base. It's that's all the young kids are at third base.
yeah. J Ram's 32. Yeah, so
Yeah,
there's not too much worry there yet, at least for 2025. Yeah, I'd definitely say this is a really solid tier. I feel
yeah,
like the only unique thing is, yeah, JRM goes 40-40, and then Jazz can chip in 40 stolen bases with probably 20 plus home runs, and no one else really can really touch that. Worth noting in terms of approaching that even
or at least has done it
2020
yet.
realm,
Yeah,
right?
health and things like that. Yeah, yeah,
So everyone else is just heart of the lineup, masher, and a full tier to their own,
yep,
and probably quite a bit of a drop from there.
yeah. I'll say this. Versus like other like second base we just talked about everything like that. I like a lot of the next tier guys. They just
Hmm.
have some questions that it just comes down to playing another season. Like a lot of them are kind of young. Royce Lewis, we could just talk about the next guy. Love the talent, the makeup. Like, can you just play? Can you just get healthy and be on the field? Love it when he's on
Hmm.
the field, but you just got to be healthy. I don't think there's any question there, right? Like you agree? If he's on the field, fantastic. He could probably be in that next tier if he just plays 100 plus games.
Right. And at this point, he's burned me twice, so I'm kind of personally just out.
I mean,
Um,
I get it, but like you look at
yeah,
it, he plays like 50 games and hits like 15 home runs. You're like, that's clearly like, you know, that's on pace for almost 40 home runs or something like that, 45 home runs. But you're like, but man, you just got to do it. I just got you got to be on the field to do it. So
yeah. The way he started, and then he had the first injury in
yeah,
2024, and he came back and it was okay, and then at a certain point he stayed healthy, and all of a sudden I just I feel like the production kind of dropped off. I remember full on dropping him in a keeper league and not
yeah,
knowing what to think of it, because let's see, 2024 he didn't really come back. So he played a lot of June, and then he got injured that again, and then he played August and September fully and was a shell of himself.
yeah.
So
It
I
screams that he was still hurt. Basically, it just screams that he's
yeah.
still hurt, which is the
So
problem with him. He's just always hurt, like all the Twins. So it, if he told me that he was healthy, I mean, we're talking Jazz Chisholm, Rafael Devers territory for me personally on the field. Like on the field, healthy, him playing, stud, absolute stud. But we're 3 years into this now,
hmm
and he's played 82 games as a high. He's never cracked 300 at bats. So I'm just, it's like Jazz Chisholm. Jazz Chisholm at least did it once. You know what I mean? Like Royce Lewis hasn't even got there yet. Barely
right.
played even half a season. So that's good. And then Mark Venutos after him, the Mets. I really like the makeup too. Really like it. Played 111 games last year, 27 dingers, 270. Love it. Mets got a whole lot better this offseason. I'm not sure you're aware. We'll get to it later. They played a Juan Soto guy. He makes a lot of people better, it turns out. Gets on base a lot. But love the makeup too. I mean, he's 25, super raw, hasn't got a lot of playing time. I think he was in the competition with Beatty, and that's gone.
Right.
It's his job. So I think full thing is a go. Like Royce Lewis, he plays a full season. I don't expect him to be far off the main Machado, Austin Riley tier. I just really don't. It's just, can you do it for a full season? I really talent wise, I just need to see it kind of once, and then you're like, got it
Right.
with both of them, and I
I'm
fully buy in.
yeah.
But
I'm
they're kind of in this tier. I'll put Jordan Westberg in. We talked about him already, but I put him in this tier as well. Like those three, like do it for a year. I like the makeup. Do it for a year.
yeah, that's exactly where I was gonna go. I was like, I feel like Mark in the Mets it's his job. And with Jordan, I'm pretty sure it's his job. I don't know if they're gonna get, try to be sneaky here and
They'll
there
find
a little
another
bit.
first overall prospect and they'll call him
But
up at third.
yeah,
Yeah.
but both guys played like 110 games
Mhm.
roughly, and they showed up and they showed out. And like this is like the next little mini wave. And so
Yeah.
it'd be really cool to get either of these. And yeah, I like them in this tier here. I agree with Royce, and yeah, we'll see how healthy he can stay. I think for for me, I'm kind of out, but I think
Yeah.
if I was trying to just give sound, solid advice, 2025 needs to be make or break. We can't just be Buxton over and over again.
Because you can't DH all of them. Like I feel like there are teams like we just got to DH this guy. Well, you got one spot, like
Right.
four guys who need rest days, and it's just like, man, I get that. Like that's funny because like every fantasy owner has that person where you're like, man, he's great, and I get it, but I just can't roster this person, and it's JT. It's Royce Lewis for JT. I get it. I get it.
They're just in Minnesota, they're gonna paint certain just circles in the outfield and infield, and if the ball goes through it or hits it, that was an out because a person would have been there. Major
Yep.
league caliber defense would have got you out. But if you hit it otherwise, then you get the hit. They're just gonna play
Yeah.
virtual reality baseball.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that right now is top 8 for us. Because we're excluding Vlad on our thing. Next one, I kind of have a tier. So I kind of had the Royce Lewis, Mark Venutos, Jordan as their own tier. Then I have Junior.
Mhm.
It's all hype because it's more the what is coming later is why I'll buy the hype and the talent because I think again the talent's kind of undeniable. Obviously, you got to do it. The man has less than 200 at bats in the majors over 2 seasons. Still very good production. Just turned 21. So I'll buy into it. Absolutely. I do not mind him here. And I'll tell you why, kind of going to the next part. It's the vets. It's Alex Bregman, Matt Chapman, Jake Berger, Alex Baum. I this is the tier where if I draft a Royce Lewis or Mark or Jordan, I want an Alex Baum as just like a safety net. Like, okay, I don't know for sure what you are. You played 111 games in the majors. These guys, I kind of know what they are, and they will not sink me as a major league player. You know what I mean? Like they can play baseball, they could sit on a fantasy team, and it's not like just a black hole. It's not like I'm in a 2 catcher league and we're 15 play teams into it, and I'm drafting the 30th catcher. You know what I mean? Like it's like I
Mhm.
gotta. I know these guys can play baseball. My only question is largely is how far Bregman falls for me because I'll just say it with Bregman. He's a Crawford Bucks merchant, and if he goes anywhere other than Houston, I am avoiding like the plague. I think we're Mariners fans. If he goes to Seattle, that's a doomsday scenario for him as a player, fantasy and real life. I think
Right.
ball won't travel for him. He is just like no pop really, and the only pop he sort of gets is that Crawford box, and I'm just like it's gonna tank his they're moving Baltimore's in. I'm not saying Baltimore's gonna do it, but Baltimore's stadium, they would have moved it in. Like if they admit if he hits there, it's the same kind of thing. Like I just don't think I think he's a very much a Houston person, and he's still a free agent as of recording. So that is like where he goes plays a big part in this. Right now, it's looking like he's gonna go back to Houston. So I'm comfortable leaving him with this 3, even 4. But if he signs anywhere else, he drops to the bottom of this really quickly. Might even be after Suarez and Praise. We'll get there, but like that's how much I think he's a merchant. So I'll just throw that out there, JT. I'll let you talk about Junior and the old vets now.
Junior, I'm skeptical about. I feel like I see the potential there, but I'm just like,
So
what?
where would you slot him in here?
Well,
Would you
I'm
draft
just
him after these vets or in the middle or where?
yeah, I push him down because it's
Okay.
just like the lineup and the counting stats. I'm just like ratios are great, but you
Yeah.
are playing the game of
Yeah.
fantasy baseball for counting stats, and I don't that lineup in Tampa Bay. And although I mean, I okay, the lineup's pretty bad. I know they're going to be playing in the other state. That's the other team with the different stadium that really
That's
haven't
true. That's
looked
true.
into further.
I keep thinking about forgetting the Rays will not play
Right? Kind of
there. Yeah.
snuck up on us ish and out of sight, out of mind. But
Yeah.
I'm just I, I want to enjoy it. I want to cheer from them, but I just at this price point in the draft, I'd rather have some of these other names around. I prosper.
Eloy Jimenez is with the Rays now?
Yeah, because he was on the Orioles, which was really weird. But then
That
they never
I just
used
didn't
him.
sorry, I'm looking at you're right. I just am like, man, they just their roster just got turned over so fast, which makes
right?
sense. But man, yeah. Okay, sorry, keep going.
Um, and then I mean Bregman, yeah, I mean who at this point he's only been tied to the Red Sox otherwise. So yeah, you're right. I think his home runs take like a 40% ding, but I mean his doubles might
That's true.
double.
Yeah.
um, if it
But
was
I mean,
his the
there's
Green
not a double
Monster.
category. It's, I mean,
No,
it's
no,
great if
and
you're playing
I
on base, but I need you to hit the ball over the fence. That's
yeah.
category in fantasy.
The weirdest thing with Bregman, he's just been a plate discipline
Yeah,
monster, and then this last year he walked. I mean, not as strongly. It's really kind of weird. I feel
cut
like
more
he's
than in half. That's got to be a blip, right? Like he has bitch been a merchant these years, and then it's like boom, hand fly.
yeah,
I just
unless he's trying to overstretch himself and try to like salvage a little bit, like, oh, I'm an elite eye at the plate. I can go for a couple
it,
extra things,
y-
and it's like, oh, I don't have that anymore.
you could
Even if I
argue
get
he
a
did
hold
sell
of
out
it.
for home runs, but like RBIs, runs, everything kind of just dipped. A home run went up one, but like
Hmm.
just feels like it just feels like a blip. But man, he had 41 home runs in 2019. Just forget that. But like, yeah, you're right. I think he's like a 19 home run guy, 18 home run guy.
I don't know. Just a set under 7% walk rate for Bregman just seems weird. It's just like
Yeah,
what were you doing? Because I don't feel
yeah,
like that's on you. I don't think like anything else really changed too much. Like I think you were doing something differently.
yeah. No, I
Um,
see. I can see that.
so it's kind of
But then
interesting.
in theory, then if that's the case, then it could just revert back to what it was.
True,
Like if it's
but
just him.
yeah, but what's the cost? Was he selling out
So
for
if you sold out for power and only hit 26, I think it's time to let that dream go, Alex Bregman. Like,
right?
you sold
Yeah.
out for power and only hit 26. I think just hit like JT said, be a doubles merchant. Like
Mm-hmm.
don't do it. Like that's what if you cut your walks in more than in half and only hit one more home run, that's call me crazy. I don't think that's worth
Yeah.
it. So
So out of this kind of tier that in the names you talked about, I'm circling Jake Berger.
I was gonna say it. That's my guy. Out
Like,
of the we talked about him before with
yeah,
the first base
he
thing.
had
Yeah, Jake
that kind
Berger.
of value tier in the first base. He's got
Yeah.
in this value
Hmm.
tier in third base. He's just in a really nice spot. And then if I switch over and find his name, 84. No, wrong Berger. 127
Yeah.
ADP
Yep.
for Fantasy Pros. Uh, pretty nice 10th round
Yeah.
for a 12 team league. So I would be willing to reach a little bit, and because
Hmm.
I'm seeing Chapman's been on average taken about a round earlier than that. Even Camaro's right around pick 100. I'd be more okay with Berger. Bregman's
Yeah.
around 94. So yeah, that's the name I'm circling out of these ones.
For sure. I think Bregman takes a dip. Matt Chapman had basically his career year. He's going to be worse than that. That's who Alex Baum is. And Gino saved his just like, people are like, man, look at that year he had. I'm like, everyone just forgets in the first half of the season, he was going to get cut. He was going to get sat down.
Hmm.
He had to go absolutely bananas to save his season, to save his job, let alone his season. And then he did. But that's not, you can't count on that second half of a season. Like, again, like, well, and the whole Diamondbacks just went bananas. We talked about already Patrick Corbin just going nuts. No, not Patrick Corbin. Right? Wait, outfielder for Diamondbacks.
Corbin Carroll.
Corbin Carroll. I get Patrick Corbin. Wow, Corbin Carroll. Yeah. So they just all went nuts in the second half, and I'm like, I don't know if that wasn't. I don't know if that's sustainable. Like, I don't think he's gonna be as
Hmm.
bad as he was the first half, but like, it's just not. I don't know if it's gonna be that again at his age. I just, I don't think age 34 season. That's in the cards again. So I yeah, I think Jake Berger's quite a bit. I don't know if I would call him a tier, but for me personally, I have him a tier above the other old guard, air quote, and probably and above Junior as well. I'm more willing to take a shot on Junior just because, other than if you removed out Jake Berger from this group and you just left me the other ones, I'm probably taking a shot on Junior more than the other ones because I'm
Okay.
like, my thought is with the rest of them, other than Suarez, which Suarez has other massive issues with his game of like I'm missing everything and I'm going to hit 220. You know what I mean? Like, man, and other than that, like I'm just willing to gamble on the upside of Junior. Basically, at that point, I'm like, I think you could do enough to outproduce Matt Chapman in San Francisco at age 34. Is my guess 30 or 32? Okay, okay, fair enough. Okay, but still, I think 27-14 is like his peak. Like that's peak. So I'm thinking more like 22-4. I think Junior can do that. Is my basically my point. So I just think that's where I'm going with that regard. But again, like if I drafted somebody up there that had an injury history, I am totally fine with taking any of these old guard to back them up. To Josh Chisholm goes down for only plays 98 games. I am fine with having a Matt Chapman be my failsafe. Not a problem. I don't know if I want to invest to that position, but if one drops, you know what I mean? Like, or
Yeah,
Gino drops, Gino is fine to play the other 50 or so games you got to fill. Totally fine. Hopefully, you get a hot streak versus a cold streak, but still, like, totally fine.
yeah. I think Matt Chapman's the gatekeeper of
Of that
that
next tier,
kind of,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Like
yeah. I
it's
had him above Bregman. Obviously, I just buried Bregman anyway. So, but yeah, 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 yeah.
it's a decent amount of home runs, stolen bases. I mean, it's a decent enough lineup
That
for
stole
counting
bases though. I mean,
stats.
come on, man. He didn't have 14 in his career before that. like, come on. Like, let's just say, let's just call it maybe 5. Let's just say he gets maybe 5.
It's a new year for whole stolen bases rules. Maybe
I know
he's
he's
just
GT. He's on the other side of 30, man. Like I know it's
savvy
new rules,
vet.
but he's still getting older. He didn't get younger.
It's how you play the game.
So maybe
Um,
maybe gets 10. Okay, maybe I'll give you 10. Might
yeah.
sneak in 10.
But dang, his savant page is just painted in red. It's it's pretty impressive actually
That's what I'm saying.
for
Like
how
I just
consistent
looking at that year,
he's been
I
for
was just
counting
like,
stats. Yeah, other than the stolen bases, everything else has been like super consistent. I
yeah.
think you know what you get out of him. Um, and
I'm just thinking though, like Oakland, Toronto is one thing, but like he's going to San Francisco. San Francisco doesn't play better than those parks, and he did better than he did in Toronto. And I'm like, I think just a
sure,
little natural regression park wise is coming into effect this year. So like 22, 23 home runs, which isn't like drastically off 27, but I think that's more indicative of who he'll actually be. And he'll be like, I don't know, probably in the 80s home runs and RBIs, which is again totally a gatekeeper of a tier, but it's nothing sexy.
yeah. And if I'm looking at like 2024 stats in terms of like the WOBA they got versus the expected WOBA they could, he was a thousandth of a point off. Where I'm
Yeah,
like Austin Riley, we talked about earlier. We should have expected, his WOBA was worse. His expected was higher. So it's just like
yeah,
in terms of slight growth or slight like maybe luck factor or whatever it was. Like Chapman just kind of did what he kind of should have done,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and yeah, I like that spot in terms of like 12th um, ish. We're talking about definitely at least 15 team. If that's my third baseman, I'm content, and where I get him in the draft, super content in terms of value, and we just kind of move on, and that's kind of my fail safe.
Yeah, no, 100%. I have a question for you about a player. There's probably a couple we could talk about here, but 20th, maybe officially 19th. Again, we'll move Vlad. 209, Max Muncy. I get there's a lot of questions with consistency. Recently, it's
Hmm.
been batting average, but I'm in the 200s, and I get a guy who hits 36 home runs and plays for the Dodgers, or 30 plus home runs. He's done it 4 times and plays for the Dodgers and plays third base for me. Like, I don't know, call me crazy, but 200 seems like crazy value for that. Like, I just, and I get there's consistency issues, like hitting under 200 in a couple of years and hit 212 in one of the years, but he followed up by hitting 250, 240. Like, so I'm just like, it's there, like the makeup's there. It's kind of you're rolling the dice on which one you get, but in the 200s, I'll roll the dice. Like, and the rolling the dice means 35 home runs. I'll roll that. And all you need to do is hit a little bit of home runs for the Dodgers, and there's going to be plenty of people running around bases. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be plenty of guys. So I am all over the Max Muncy value right there. Like, all over it. Because again, you already have a third baseman. You've already taken someone above that you like more. But
Right.
I could stockpile a 35 home run guy in the 200s. Like that's value right there. Because I'm looking at all the other guys around him, like Josh Young, Rengifo.
Hmm.
Like, come on, give me some Max Muncy all day down there.
I
What are your thoughts,
I
JT?
I understand what you're saying. I feel like it's like it's sneaky, but it's not. Like it makes sense. What you're saying makes sense.
It is all
I
over the place though.
yeah,
Like it is,
I'm
you're literally rolling the dice and see how much Max Muncy you get. Like
yeah. Do I get the LA Dodger Max Muncy or do I get the Oakland Athletic, shortstop prospect? Oops, I drafted the wrong Max Muncy.
I mean, but again, down here in the 200, if you get the last year's Max Muncy where he played half the season, only hit 15 home runs,
Right.
it doesn't kill you. It doesn't
The
bury you. You're drafting the 200s.
Yeah, the risk
I feel
is
like
worth
that's
the
the
reward.
perfect. This is the perfect kind of player for it. It's a huge upside.
Yeah, especially if we're talking like at that point it's just,
Yeah, projected
corner
209.
corner
Like,
infield help.
yeah,
Like,
like because
yeah,
my
it's
question is more like Miguel Garcia's the guy going after him. I mean, I'm like, yeah, obviously, I'm taking Max Muncy. Like, he's surrounded by Josh Young and Michael Garcia. I'm like, there's definitely a talent gap here. One of the guys has hit 30 home runs 44 times. The other two are going to combine for less than 40.
mhm.
So I'm just like, and again, the one guy who might hit 30 home runs plays for the Dodgers. So like, you hit that many home runs, you're gonna have 110 RBIs, regardless of where you hit in the lineup. So I'm just like, man, like it's more of where he's going. Now, if he was up near that Jake Burger territory, is absolutely not. I can't risk that because I think Jake Burger is gonna hit 30 home runs. But he's he's going 11, 12 third baseman later. So I'm like, yeah, sign me up for that guy. That's my deep sleeper. Sorry, I know he's not much of a deep sleeper. Max Muncy's value at this point is I think it's silly.
I think that's the right way to say it. I agree with you. And in terms of, yeah, the risk reward
Yeah,
and the draft cost, yeah, definitely it'd be the smart move.
he's your stash guy. Get him in the round 18,
Hmm.
stash Mac Muncy. Nothing wrong with that. Anybody else you like down? No, you don't have to go far down, but like anybody else you like, JT, value wise for at third base, you can say no too. There's nobody you like.
I mean, it's just a lot of what are you gonna who are
Yeah,
you gonna get? Which version, and that's
yeah.
always the game that you play, right? Um, there's more names where I'm just nope, hard out on that guy. Or I'm
Yeah, the
trying to
Cabrera Hayes,
be
that one fell off so hard so fast.
just just like trying to think of a
I
name that I would actually be
it's
willing to
just it's
wait
just
on.
funny, like the Marte and Cabrera Hayes are next to each other. Novelli Marte and Cabrera Hayes, like so much upside and just all the way down here now.
Hmm.
Sad. I was rooting for both of them. Still am, not over, but come on, guys. There's just not a lot of names that move any sort of needle for me down here, like at all, really. Man, I'm just clicking on guys. I'm just like, man, can I find something in here? Again, I'm looking like Matt Vierling, but he doesn't like. I draft you. What are we doing? I guess is that what you've seen? You're drafting him. You're like, what is this for?
Yeah, like what are you hoping to get out of it? Like
Yeah,
what?
like 15 home runs. Like I just like plays for the Tigers, so like 60 and 60, 50 or 70 70 maybe. Like I just like I don't know. Sure, I guess maybe he's the kind of guy maybe be picked up at one point on a team. Like oh, I got a guy hurt for a couple weeks. I might need a Matt Verling, but just doesn't move the needle. You know what I mean? Like Brandon, we talked about it. Brandon Donovan, St. Louis, like they're all the same player. So I don't. Ryan McMahon, talk about post type sleeper. He's gonna hit 20 home runs. Plays for the Rockies. Like again, like 240
Yeah,
hits, 20 home runs. Do you need it?
I mean, compared to first base, I feel like a lot, maybe probably more odds on my corner infield is going to be first baseman, just based on just just
Yeah, I mean,
kind of this bottom of the barrel here. I mean, like Mayo stands out for Baltimore, but I mean he's on the 40 man. He doesn't have a playing
yeah,
time spot, but in terms of
this,
just like who would you rather roll the dice
yeah,
on?
yeah.
Maybe.
It feels like first base feels like you're more confident down here. Not much. I'm not saying like it's worlds different, but you're like, okay, I could see a world more. Second base, it's like extremes. It's like you're either gonna do one category like amazing, but nothing else. And third
Right.
base feels like it's just like a bunch of meh. Like you're gonna do nothing. Like you're gonna be Brandon Donovan. You're gonna hit me 20 home runs, or not. You're not Brandon Donovan. I was just looking. I was Ryan McMahon. You're gonna hit me 20 home runs. You're gonna hit 70 RBI, and you're gonna hit 70 runs, and you're at 240. And I'm gonna be like, that is the most C student there is. You know what I mean? Like maybe C minus. You're like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. Like, what am I supposed to do? Hope you get the 1 week you hit 3 home runs. I think that's like really it. Like, is that like because you're gonna hit me 1 home run a week? You're gonna get me 3 RBIs. Like you're. I'm just like, it's nice. It's. I guess for third baseman, there's a lot of guys. If your guy misses a week, you're like, oh, it's totally fine. I can pick up that guy. It won't be like the worst thing in the world, but it's just like that's why I think like the whole idea of a Max Muncy, like, well, at least Max Muncy might roll the dice and hit me 35 home runs. Like I'm gonna get
Yeah.
like 18 home runs from a bunch of guys that do nothing else down here. So, and honestly, there might not even be that many guys who just do that. There's a bunch of guys who you're like, I don't know what Marte is. I mean, he's only 23, but I don't know what Marte is. I don't know what Christopher Morel will do. You know, I just don't know.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. I'm trying to find some where
JT, it's just not. You don't have
talk
to. You don't have
talk
to. There's just
positively about. I mean, Rengifo. I'm just like comparing him. Like, yeah, he is 18th overall for a reason. Like he hits for average and he steals a lot of bases. Okay,
yep. And
that's
that's
about
that's
it.
if you need it.
But yeah, otherwise, I feel like if you're willing to dig deep and like try to find some bounce back candidates, like maybe Heimer Candelario could bounce back. I mean, that's a big if.
And
Um,
that's a deep cut there too. But I mean, yeah, if we're looking for someone who could bounce back for sure. But I mean, he didn't drop. It, he's not bouncing too much higher. You know what I mean? Like he got worse, but like not substantially worse. I mean, like yeah, it's just like
I mean, at a certain point, you're just talking about playing time. Like
yeah,
that's kind of where we're at,
you
and
almost
we're
just
in the
roll with a
20s.
Nolan Arenado because you're like he's gonna play. I
Hmm.
know he's gonna play every day, and it was a bad year for him. 60 home runs. I assume it'll get closer to 20s. 22, something like that. I assume full season, maybe like 22 home runs. So if you're just playing playing time, and Nolan Arenado's going 190, so if we're just going that route, you know what I mean? Like if you're going to McMahon, Brandon Donovan, something like that, I'm just like I'm just gonna play Nolan Arenado. I know he's just gonna play every day. I don't have
Right.
to worry about it because what's St. Louis gonna do? I don't know if they trade him, then they trade him and he plays every day wherever he gets traded to. So plays well enough he's to get traded. So yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, third baseman, but this is just after here is kind of boring. Like it's just I don't want to call a bunch of names boring. Wish I was as good at baseball as these guys, but um, fantasy wise, it just doesn't move the needle down here.
Right. I'm just going back and forth. Joey Ortiz was kind of like a name I kind of streamed a little bit last year. I just don't know what kind of playing time we're talking about. Outlook for this year.
I mean,
Um,
I remember streaming him. Or you say playing time. I just don't know talent there. Like you're worried about playing
yeah,
time. I'm worried about just is he good at baseball? Like
yeah. I
that's
mean,
also a
he's
question.
he's projected to be the shortstop, bottom of the lineup there in
I mean, is that good?
Milwaukee.
Like I don't know.
I just, he's 26. Obviously he's got the playing time. I just remember, yeah, he's got really good play discipline,
Yeah, he
which
walks
is
a ton.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's a good runner. He's fast, and obviously he's got a plus in the fielding category, so he's gonna play. He plays good
I honestly
defense.
think he might walk too much because he's not stealing a ton of bases for how many times he's getting on first.
Right.
And I mean, he played 142 games. You're like, man, and he only had 140 at bats, and you're like, whoa, like, and you're like, whoa, he walked because at bats obviously don't count with all the walks. I'm like, man, he's walking a ton. And then you look, you're like, man, he only got 11 stolen bases. And I'm like,
Hmm.
you're on base a lot. You're not hitting for a ton of pop, 11 home runs, not bad, but like, so you're hitting some stuff, and you're constantly on base, or you're on base a lot with that, and you're hitting balls. I'm like, then you should be going more. So you're probably, if you're doing that, you got to like either you got to start with stealing more or sell it for some more power. You know what I mean? Like one or the other has to happen. And honestly, I think going more might be the option here. So maybe he is. Maybe he's the guy who pops 30 stolen bases here if he just goes. Like Milwaukee, come on, just send him.
Yeah.
Maybe it's one of those 11 stolen bases where it's like I don't know enough about Joey, but maybe it's like one of those uh who we just talking about for third base, Matt Chapman, where he's like has no business stealing 11. So this, we're all saying that, and they're like, "Are you crazy? We're like, he got 11." But I don't think it's that way. But yeah, I was like, you gotta send him, let him go a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. The only name that I'd be willing to throw a dart that's like down here is Matt Shaw. The third, he should be playing third base. Big prospect for the Cubs. I don't. I just. I. Playing time is question mark. I should probably break camp with the starting job. He's not on the 40-man. Like there's a couple question marks. He might be delayed, but if you're willing to wait on him, like he's got the pedigree, he's got the
I,
upside, and
I don't think there's any reason he isn't the. I don't want to put a timeline on it, but by the end of the year, he's definitely the starting third baseman. I think, right,
yeah,
for the
I
Cubs.
yeah. The only knock you could say is he only got 35 games at AAA. He's a 22-year-old, but a 929 OPS in those games. Just like what do you want to
Yeah,
see? K
yeah.
percent under 20. Like it's just
If he's ready to go, he's ready
409
to go.
WOBA.
Who do they have playing there now?
So, well, that's the thing. It's just like I don't know who technically would block him. Like John
I was gonna
Birdie's
say
there for the infield.
Roster Resource has him starting third base today.
Yeah,
Playing
it's
it.
just he's not on the
So
40 man yet. So it's just like
yeah,
that weird. We'll just see
yeah,
how it.
Birdie. 35-year-old Birdie's gonna. I mean, it might be one of those situations where Birdie starts the season and then they give him a couple months, a couple more bats at AAA, but then he's up. Like I can't see anything more than that, unless that happens and he's just awful in AAA or gets hurt.
Right.
Like I think there's no way by All Star break he's not playing every day for the Cubs.
Yes.
Put that way.
Yes, because it's been stated that Seiya Suzuki is going to DH
Yeah.
majority of the time. So he's the extra random, like we want his bat in the lineup, but he really only plays outfield. But that's taken care of. Michael Bush, hasn't he played third base in the past? But I mean, you're going to need someone to play first or
Yeah,
third and
he's their first
shot. So
baseman. I
I
was
mean,
gonna
it's
say,
just like
yeah.
so the path is there, and out of all these names down here, and we're just kind of sifting through in the 20s and 30s rankings. It's just like
And the Cubs have a sneaky. If he gets in there, even if he's at the 8, I mean, he'll probably climb a little bit. They have a sneaky little lineup, to be honest. They
mhm,
don't. I don't think they have any like they're not like crazy, but they don't have a lot of easy outs. It's like a lot of like 100. I would say like 108 OPS guys or WRC plus guys. Like that's what they're just filled with like 108. Like never like a 80 like just black hole there. It's just a bunch of solid hitters.
mhm,
And so it's not going to be like Matt Shaw's batting eighth, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's like Pico Armstrong, hype, Nico Horner. Like we talk about, maybe not fantasy wise for baseball, but real baseball, he's a positive over 100 WRC plus. Like he's going to be on base, be stealing. Like if you're looking for RBIs and runs, like it's not a black hole to lineup as some people I've seen say it is. Like as a roster, like
mhm.
there's definitely headway for some counting stats on that team.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So yeah, don't get me started on catcher. That's obviously, but that's a lot of teams.
That's true. They
I
actually
think that's
might.
actually a good call. I was gonna probably miss him, but yeah, you're right. Matt Shaw is gonna be in a lot of hype. I should have looked at it. He has some on this thing. He was drafted as 16th third base. I think he should probably be a little higher than that. We talk about how like unmit I am on some of these guys. I think he should be higher than that. He should be around the max, right below the max Muncy, because like I'm just not gonna draft a bunch of these guys. I'm not going to draft a Rengifo. I'm not going to draft a Nolan Arenado. I'm not going to draft a bunch of these guys. I've just eliminated a bunch of them. Even if they fall, I'm just going to roll on a Matt Shaw. You know what I mean? Like if it gets to that point, I'm just going to roll with this.
For sure.
Give me some oomph to my pick later on.
Yeah, there might be a lot of fantasy to be had out of the Cubs. I mean, they've got Presley closing now, and still got Imanaga and Steele, and like there should be quite a bit of juice to squeeze out of that.
They're a team that played right. They just have a bunch of very solid baseball players. Like, and I say that completely compliment. Like, they're just a solid group of baseball players. Like, their fifth starter Matt Boyd had a 2.7 ERA last year. I'm not saying like a world burner, and it's going to go up a little bit, but a very solid baseball player. I want to say fantasy wise, but you need a quality start. Matt Boyd can get you quality start. And he's their fourth pitcher. Like they're just solid. They're a bunch of guys who are going to be like a 3.5 to 3.2 ERA, and they're not going to strike a ton of guys out, but they're not going to blow you up. You need a quality start. I would totally not be shocked if anybody in the rotation did it. Like you said, Presley's their closer. Their guys are the 6 strikeout guy, go 7 innings, get you a quality start. 3.3 to 3.5. Their hitters are all 102 to 108 WRC plus. Like they're all like kind of the same. Pitchers or hitters, they're all just like they're good. No superstars, but they're all good. They have no black holes. Like you're just like, man, this is the Cubs across the board, and it's probably going to be pretty solid, honestly.
Yeah.
And those are the entire Cubs team. Obviously, Tucker's their superstar. That's like without saying, but like their entire team. That is like those players are we talk about it on real baseball, but those players are also the glue of like fantasy teams. Those are the guys who you get some injuries, you need to pick up a Cubs. You're like, there's gonna be a bunch of Cubs on the waiver wire. Pick them up. They're not gonna bury you in categories. They're gonna keep you afloat. You need a big hit. You're gonna be your Howie Kendrick in the World Series. Like that's the kind of guy they are. Like very solid players who do not sink you at positions. That's incredibly valuable. Or to have one of these guys on your bench or something like that, like a Michael Bush or something like that. Like they will not sink you at positions.
Yeah, for sure.
They have a ton of first round picks on their team. The only non-first round pick is their catcher for the Cubs in their starting rotation lineup, and the other one is Seiya Suzuki, who also was a first round pick. Everyone else was a first round pick.
He's a first round pick in my heart.
I know. He probably would be actually if honestly he came over and there's a draft. But I'm just looking at it like the entire starting lineup is a first round pick. Like for 3 of them are the Cubs, but the other ones are all like, I'm like, wow, that's just crazy. Just seeing all rounds, I'm like, they're all first round. Like, okay.
Can the Mariners trade for Josh Smith? I keep coming back to Josh Smith. I'm like, he's not going to really play much, but man, he's like super util. He filled in for them admirably with all the injuries last year. Third base primarily last year, but he's most likely going to be on the bench. And anyways,
all right,
cool.
Well, that was fun. Third base. I guess next week we're gonna do shortstops. I mean,
whatevs.
Don't get me started on the numbers.
So what we conclude third base? Good. First dozen, then
we go. You go. I mean, there's like 10, 11, 12 guys that I'm like not sad about drafting. It's a pretty deep position. It's a pretty young position, honestly, especially at the top. So it's a very good time to be a third baseman and be drafting third baseman, honestly. Because we've ran into a bunch of positions so far. I'm like, I don't know. Third base, I'm very like there's a lot, especially at the top, where I'm just like, man, I get one of the top 10 guys. I'm like, absolutely. Like, don't feel bad about this at all. Like, love a lot of these guys. Biggest issue is just like health for a couple of middle guys. But if they get healthy, this is a really deep position. Like, really deep. There's a lot of fun here.
Yeah. And if you're in a 15-team league, you got that corner infield. Just be aware of where it's going on and take a stab on a flyer or two and see what happens.
Oh, yeah. You 15th overall, Suarez, corner infield in a 15-team league? Absolutely. Like, yeah. Money. Yeah.
Sweet. All right. So, yep. Hit us up on the Twitter, on the X, Fancy Dad Pods. Let us know what you think about third base rankings or any other rankings. We got shortstop coming up next week. But yeah, we'll get back to it. And I think I just counted. It's roughly about 9 days till most teams have pitchers
Report.
catchers report. For some reason, and of course this is going to happen. One team is Super Bowl Sunday. They're going to have pitchers catchers report,
Yeah,
and
of
of
course.
course it's the Cubs. We just
Yeah.
talked about them. What are the odds? I don't
What-
know. They just hate, you know.
What is your? I heard another podcast talk about this. What are your thoughts on the bus day, where teams' buses pull up and get ready for spring training? People are like counting out of that. I think that's a step too far. I think. It's like,
No.
you can have it on the calendar. You can like if you want, but like I don't need MLB tweeting like bus day. No. Like pitchers and catchers report is like the day that I've always grown up with. Like
Yeah.
players are in the building, the facility. I don't need to know when the bus is showing up.
Yeah, that's
It's too much.
we're
It's too
getting
much.
a
I get we
little too
want baseball.
extra.
That's like the worst time of the year is when baseball or football ends and there's no baseball. You know, even this time everyone's like, "Oh, there's Super Bowl," but the Super Bowl like keeps me busy for 3 hours. Like, there's nothing going on for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, they've got nothing, and so it's just like because especially with my Sharks right now, they're just like the worst team in the NHL. So it's like there's nothing. We have no NBA team, so I'm just like football is only going to keep me busy for 3 hours over a 2 week span. I got to have some baseball, but I'm even not desperate enough for when the bus shows up. Sorry, guys, I'm not. You haven't sold me on that one.
Yeah, the only other thing off the top of my head is I know the KBO, like the majority, like half the teams are coming this way to do their spring training, but I don't know the timeline.
Oh, okay.
But I know some of them were coming to the U.S., some were going down to Australia.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
So,
do you like? Oh, quick before we get out of here, do you like the first couple games being in a different country to start the season? Do you like that? Yes or no?
I like it. I don't know if I like that it counts. I kind of just wish it was part of like
part of you take. If you do that, if it's only spring training, I would say you take like 8 teams and do like a bunch of round robin games and over there versus just like if you're gonna do spring training over there or some training over there, take a bunch of teams over there.
Yeah, and play the other
as a baseball player, it'd be
MVP.
hard to get up for it than not get up. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
but it is cool to. I remember we were all living together when the Mariners were playing over in Japan with Ichiro, and waking up and seeing our roommate, buddy Joey, at 2 a.m, and he was getting ready to watch the Mariners too. 2 a.m. Dustin Ackley hit the Devils in Oakland for against the A's. Like, man, all the hypes. But yeah, that was. I can't do that anymore though. It's definitely for the kids. It's definitely for the kids.
Well, shoot, like I'd do that for like the Australian Open that just ended too. Let's watch it super early. And it's like, no, not anymore.
Yeah, I can't do that. Maybe when the kids are gone, we could do it again. But like right now, or gone and retired, maybe. But like right now, I'm like I'm so tired. I can't do that. Like I can't do that. So
yeah. And side note, KBO is in the U.S. right now. There's a handful of teams. January 30th, like the NC Dinos arrived into Arizona. So yeah, there's like a handful of teams, but also a few in like Taiwan and Australia. So yeah, pretty cool. So showed up early for their kind of side spring training. So,
sweet.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you listening. Take care. Be well. And until next time, see ya.
See ya.